and skies so blue. Mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, then weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people above it all. We know it all.
Down by the lot near the old cafe where the sun fries cars all night and day, there's a wild crew doing what they do. Yeah, you know them, the parking lot crew. Refugees with moves so tight, waving cars in left and right. 10 ways to say, yo, park that straight. 12 for bro, you're 20 late. Neanderthals in safety vests, snack in hand, but doing their best. One grunted loud, broke out in a jig. Turns out he just wants a parking gig. Canines bark like they run the block. Chased a drone down, beat the clock. One gave change with a tail wag spin. That dog's got tips and a toothy grin. Who you gonna call when the lot gets loud? Parking cones up and they're drawing a crowd. Whistles blow and the scooters fly. It's a parking crew and they're riding high. From the streets of town to the lot bazaar, they'll guard your ride like a superstar. Yeah, from Josie streets to America, it's the funky, fearless parking lot crew. Car guard shout near the garbage bin. Who parks skill? You let them in. They blow their whistles in perfect time, like a backup band with a traffic sign. Then here comes Wyatt, the colonel boss. Duct tape boots and a look that's sauce. Rides a scooter with flashing beams. Salutes pigeons, yells at ice cream. Men, dogs, apes form a line. No dents, no scrapes, no overtime. If they park like chaos, made a plan. Fight them twice and be the man. Who's got the beat in a vested hat? Parking legends funky like that. Guard your eye with soul and flair, and a hi-fi breeze in the summer air. From this lie here to America, it's the wild, proud parking lot crew.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Welcome back, folks. It's Monday, August 11th, 2025. It's Chris live in Central Pennsylvania for your daily injection, your daily dose, your daily inoculation, your jab against fake news, hyperbole, clickbait, and all the other nonsense you find online. A couple comments here, people saying things been deleted. There isn't one message that haven't been deleted by any of my moderators in this broadcast thus far. If your message was not appearing, it's because you put something that YouTube doesn't like. And we all know that in the past, YouTube has intruded into my broadcasts, including Google moderators came in and deleted people's comments, and I can't see them. So if I can't see it's been deleted, that means my moderator and I did not delete it. So I'm sorry if your comment's being deleted, but it's something you have to take up with YouTube. It's nothing that my folks have done. But if you have legitimate concern about my moderators being overly oppressive, you can complain to me. You can send me an email and I will address it. You notice we had Streamlabs on here last week and things just got crazy. The bot went rogue. You guys remember that? The bot went rogue on me just the other day. It was crazy. And we created a song out of that. Is the bot went rogue. Yep, that bot just was out of control. It did what it wanted to do. We had no say. The bot went rogue. That's what happens, man, when you let software, artificial intelligence, run your business, run your life. No Skynet. No Kingston Skynet.
I built a bot to keep the peace, but it turned into the language police. Said my words were too loud, too long, too wrong, like I was breaking some robot law. It beeped and it booped, said your emojis don't compute. I hit delete, but it rebooted. The bot went wrong.
The bot went rogue. It stole my soul and my viewers' souls.
It flagged my jokes, it flagged my song. Said my metaphors were far too strong. Your tone is off, your chat's too bold. Your sarcasm's breaking the code. It's spoken ones, it's spoken zeros. Said no room here for human heroes. I tried to reason, but it went haywire, spitting out rules like a rapid fire choir. The bot went wrong, out of control. It censored my soul. Oh no, oh no. The bot went wrong. No stopping the scroll. Had to pull the plug to save my flow.
The bot went rogue. Yep, that's what happened the other day when we let Streamlabs moderate on the channel. It warned everybody, then took them out left and right. It was crazy. Let that be a lesson. Reggae rules, says Paul DeClerc. Thea wants to know what I'm smoking. Nothing. Nothing at all. Folks, the news is depressing. You know, sometimes you need a little bit of lighthearted moment there, and if people don't like that approach, then I'm sorry, but a lot of people get depressed. I lose a lot of viewers because they get tired of hearing bad news. They're not tired with the commentary, the analysis. They appreciate that, but they get depressed by hearing bad news. I try to bring good news. So a little lighthearted moment there, guys. Chill. Take a deep breath. Chill. Paulie's here. Hey, Paulie, how's it going, man? Where'd that go? I just saw Paulie. Now he's disappeared. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe it didn't really happen. Anyway, there you go. So the bot went rogue. Yep. A lighthearted moment indeed. My dad passed away this morning at 7. It's just sad that he will not get to go with us. Oh, Ave, I am so sorry to hear that. Our thoughts and prayers with you. That's bad news. That's bad news. See, it's the heavy stuff, folks. I'm trying to lighten it, so I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, it isn't always bad news, Marinda, but I try to bring good news, but it's difficult to do. So anyway, what's good? Marceline, lots of things are good. I finally have an appointment after a marathon session. So I'll get to the news in a moment, but let me relate a story very quickly for you guys, okay, for the 487 people currently here. Monday's usually busy, but I haven't had a 1300 Monday for 2 weeks, and that's when you usually get 1300s on Monday. Is someone stealing my viewers, or are they losing interest? So those of you know that I've been dealing with something wrong with my hip for 40 years, but it had not bothered me significantly. It was never an issue of any significance until the last few years on active duty, when I would be sore. When I get up, I'd be sore, sleeping on it. I wake up, and what I'd have to do is exercise for a little bit, and then the endorphins would kick in, and the muscles get limbered up, and the pain would go away. The joints get lubed up, I guess. Anyway, so I was diagnosed with arthritis in my hip when I retired my right hip from the Veterans Administration and given a small disability payment for that monthly. But the problem became exacerbated about 18 months ago, and it's become so bad that I can't even exercise. And then it's created other problems. My pelvic girdle was out of alignment. I may have a torn muscle here, all kinds of things as a consequence of that. I went for care. They said it was a bursa sac. They put an injection in there, the cortisone. It helped with the pain, made it better, but it was temporary. And then I couldn't get another appointment. Then I traveled, and I came back, couldn't get an appointment. I came back from South Africa. I called in May. It took 7 weeks to get an appointment with my general practitioner because you have to go through them to get a referral. So I waited 7 weeks, July 17th, saw my physician, did the x-ray. He ordered an MRI. Still haven't been able to schedule the MRI because the provider is crap. I'm going to have to try another provider. Anyway, my general practitioner called me back on Friday afternoon at 3:40 in the afternoon, so after 3 o'clock, too late to do anything. He said, well, despite what people, because I had medical care in South Africa, people were talking about a hip replacement. I'm like, not going to happen. He said, no, it doesn't. It's not that advanced that you're going to need it, but you do have arthritis. It has advanced a bit, and it requires injections. So we're going to give you a referral. You should go to this clinic here in Carlisle, and go today or go tomorrow so you have sufficient time for the thing to take effect before you fly next week. I said, okay, thanks, doc. So I went online to make sure I have the referral. If you don't have a referral, then you have to pay. And it's like going to be more than $1,000 probably. So if it's a cash client. So I went, there was no referral. So I waited till after midnight, then there was a referral in there. But I tried to print the letter out because there's an actual letter comes with it, with instructions. There was no letter. So in the morning, I got up Saturday morning, I called the insurance provider, TRICARE, which is supposed to provide service 24 hours a day. And all they have is an automated system because it's a weekend. So I said, let me go in and try to change. I went online, tried to change to the different provider because they gave me a provider that was 50 kilometers away and involves driving over the toll road, $15 in tolls, $15 in petrol, and 4 hours of my time to drive over there and come back. So, and I had no guarantee they'd even see me. It's just a clinic, and I don't even know if they have appointments. I'm not one of their patients, and I need to be seen. So I had to wait, not Friday, not Saturday, not Sunday, but Monday, 4 days later, and here I am. So I called up this morning, and I called the insurance provider. I got a hold of them, and they changed, and they found that they could use that clinic. But they had 6 doctors there, and 4 of them were authorized for TRICARE, so they'll pay for them. The other 2 weren't, just because they probably never bothered to do it. So I don't know who the doctors are. It's a walk-in clinic. You just walk in, the x-ray, you do the work, they give you the jab, boom, right there. But you need a doctor. So I didn't know who. So they gave me 4. They gave me the first doctor, Dr. Brown. I said, well, she sounds fine. So I called the clinic with that referral. It was updated. I'm like, okay, now I can go. Dr. Brown stopped working there 5 years ago. 5 years ago, she stopped working at that clinic. But my insurance provider doesn't know that. This happens every single time I get a referral. They give us numbers that don't work. The number for the MRI clinic didn't work. It's out of date. They've never had that number. And anyway, so I called them back. I found the name of a doctor who's available this afternoon, who's on call, who's there, who'll take a walk-in. I called TRICARE back. I got the referral changed, and I've got the correct one now. So now I can go see the clinic this afternoon. The doctors are there. The care is available. We have the doctors. The problem is such stupidity in a government-run system. Alarm went off. Okay, Avi, hang in there, man. It's tough. Workers on strike. Crazy. Same problem here. Arthritis in my right hip with the difference I have 2 spinal fractures to boot. Well, that sucks. I have no choice but to have a replacement. Well, I hope the treatment works for me too. Yeah, it's a miracle I can see the doctor now. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, try life tones for arthritis, Chris. I don't know what life tones are. That sounds like some audiology thing. Yeah, finally got an appointment. Well, I don't think it's going to solve the problem because I think there's a muscular issue. I think there's a muscle tear or something because the leg still gives out. So that will take the pain away. So at least I'll be able to do what I need to do. But no eating tomatoes. I don't eat tomatoes. I rarely eat tomatoes. Sorry to hear your day's depressing, Sumere. Two days max for your friend. Sorry, geez, I'm sorry to hear that. Good Lord, all kinds of people. Where's the Colonel? I'm here, Russell. Where are you? I was here at 12:14. I was here. I started at 12:03. So apologies for that, but I had to publish a video based on what the Democratic Alliance did this morning. The Democratic Alliance held a press conference. Is it too little, too late? We're going to talk about that. All right, so that one's published now. All right, put a little boxer like John Steenhuisen coming out, punching at the ANC. Process issue. That's correct, Jacques Nolte. Yep, put me on the short list of the refugee program and I'll come sort them out. If you have a 6 Sigma qualification from GE, I'd love that. That'd be great. Yes, my front beam gets activated by big trucks using the suburban road car. Ah, gotcha, Mace. Okay. No, I'm not taking any anti-inflammatories. You know, it's. I don't generally take them. I sent you a super chat. You did? I didn't see any super chats. Nothing's showing up on the board. Let me go look and see. And then we'll get to the news in just a moment. Thank you for your patience, folks. Earnings. Let's go over to super chats. I didn't see any super chat. See all. Yeah, okay. Well, Werner sent a super chat. Sent you an email. Not sure. Okay. I did see that. I looked for that email. I don't see an email. Where did you send it at? There's no email. Unless you're using an alias, a name that I don't know. I'm looking in my Google account and I see nothing from you. Nothing from you. Oh, no, there it is. Sorry. Got it. Sorry, Werner. Okay. Jeez. Oh, cool. That's good news for you, Werner. Good news for you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sorry, I found it. Thank you very much. Congratulations. So progress for Werner there, folks, on the refugee front. Yes. Would love to come apply 6 Sigma. That'd be awesome. Gosh, do I have only refugees? Is that my only viewers here? Did everyone else abandon? That's crazy. Yeah. Wow. Because I know what's going to happen. They all come here and they get distracted. And the bright lights of big city, freedom, liberty, safety. They're just going to forget about old Chris, and I'll have no viewers. They start letting refugees come over, then I'll have nobody watching my program. Should I be against the refugee program? Should I try to stop the refugee program? Make you all stay in South Africa? Francois is still there. Good. Okay, good. All right, got a few bitter enders are going to hang around with me there. Cool. Yeah, no, I want the bitter enders to stay too, man. What about the news, Francois? What about the news? Take a breath. Take a breath. It's a free program. All right, there are things to talk about. All right, now it's time for the news. Okay, all right. But if I don't do the news, people get pissed off. If I do the news, people get pissed off. You just can't win. Do the best you can. Well, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news out of Washington, D.C. One of the reasons I was also tardy is I watched President Donald John Trump's press conference in the District of Columbia announcing the takeover of the criminal regime of Muriel Bowser, Bow Wow Bowser. She no longer has authority over law enforcement. It's now under the direction of the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is now in charge of the D.C. Metro Police. Trump administration has taken over law enforcement in the district, and they're going to end the criminal scourge. President Trump assigned Attorney General Pam Bondi to oversee the takeover of Metropolitan Police Department and said National Guard troops will be assigned to the nation's capital. He cited the high crime rates that do not align with official statistics. Taking federal control of the police department in D.C. and deploying National Guard troops in response to crime rates that he said were out of control. The action came after he spent months threatening a federal takeover of the nation's capital. Speaking from the White House briefing room, the president painted a dark picture of a capital including bloodthirsty criminals and roving mobs of wild youth that many people who live in it are unlikely to recognize. City officials announced that violent crime in the city was at 30-year low, but that's just BS. 70-year-old woman beaten, or a man beaten to death by a gang of thug female assailants. Minors getting away with crimes because they won't prosecute them. Paul says, I so appreciate every time I come to your channel you respond. I have a major arthritis in both knees. Ow. Replacement surgery hands as well as they give you. Oh, okay. All right, Paul, thank you for that. Con de Bruin, 14 Rand. You're still our number one news guy. Well, thank you, Con. I appreciate that. Yeah, Bugger Off Bunny has been lazy lately. He's had no reason to come out. People have been behaving themselves. Right. John Steenhuisen says that ANC policies are job killers. Well, duh. Thank you, Minister of Agriculture. Like, we didn't know that. The Democratic Alliance announced reform proposals aimed at empowering state-owned entities, which it claims offer a better alternative to BE, Employment Equity and Expropriation Act. Policies, it says, must be scrapped. You see, I've told you all along, ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic Alliance is not a conservative party. When we hear the ANC call them right-wing, it's total poppycock. This is a political left-of-center party. It's not a bad thing, not a good thing. That's just where they sit. Here's the center. Here's conservatives over here on where the right-wing podcasters are at. And then over here is the left. That's where the DA is. Over here is the ANC, MK, and EFF over there. They are left of center. They like state-owned enterprise. They think that they are smart enough to decide how business can make money. They think it's okay for the government to run a business to interfere with the private economy and compete and undermine it because they will be bailed out like SAA. Look at all the harm done to private airlines. If it wasn't for SAA being bailed out, there probably would have been 2 or 3 additional startup airlines in South Africa delivering high quality air service for South Africans. But no, because SAA got bailed out all the time and they had all the gates, they controlled everything. And yeah, so the DA likes state-owned enterprises. I've told you this all along. They just think that they can run them better than the ANC. That is not the answer. That is not the answer. But other than that, it's a pretty good press conference from the DA, 6-point plan on how they're going to deal with it. There's Leon Schreiber and Zviwe Grube. Wish she barely fits in that chair. Poor thing. Speaking at a media briefing in Johannesburg, DA leader John Steenhuisen said the 3 acts are major obstacles to economic growth. BEE and racial quotas have failed, and together with expropriation without compensation, create an environment that deters investment, growth, and job creation for the majority of South Africans. Well, thank you. Is John Steenhuisen watching my program and stealing my talking points? Are they stealing my talking points? I've only been saying this for 5 years on this program. The only way South Africa transforms is through fair, inclusive alternatives that can help lift poor South Africans out of poverty and onto the social mobility ladder. That is not the role of government. The role of government is to ensure a safe society, a level playing field, and the opportunity to seek redress for grievances, which is something that's not happening. Did you hear the Hank's Old Irish Pub? The judgment was set aside, despite the fact that Christopher Logan failed to show up, failed to file an appeal within the 5 days. And now, about a year later, they're just going to give him relief. The damage was done to Hank's Old Irish Pub, the reputational damage done to the owners who were falsely accused of assault and racism. To what end? So what does this tell race hustlers? Exactly what it told Notabile and Nobs and Kesey. There are no consequences for your actions if you're on the correct side of the evil government. Yeah, no consequences for race hustlers. That's what Christopher Logan will learn from this. Wow. But the DA has a 6-point policy. They've come out with 6 points. Their 4th reform would include public spending towards growth. Public spending towards growth. No. Government spending does not generate growth. It hampers the private sector. Bailouts to state-owned entities have cost $310 billion. Enough is enough. Yeah. Reform that. They want to reform that. Good. The 5th reform focused on fixing local government. Coalition chaos, corruption, and collapsed service delivery cannot continue. We're championing a new law to stabilize councils. I have a better law for you. Change your constitution so that there are no parliamentary systems at the local level. You cannot run a local government under a parliamentary system. It does not work. Parochial interests rule. Look at Port Elizabeth. Insane. Well, thank you to my viewers who told me about the story yesterday. I've not had a chance to make a video on this because things keep happening. Police retreat after land grab clash turns violent near Matafin. SAPS officers are forced to retreat after violent protesters threatened to attack them in a so-called kidnapping incident in the Mpumalanga province. It's crazy. Mark says I should start a political party in South Africa. Problem is I can't run for South Africa. I'm not a South African, and so I don't run in South Africa. And I lost here badly. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I am on the ballot in November for judge of election. My name is actually on the ballot this time. Last time was a write-in, I won. I'm on the ballot. Last year I ran for the state legislature, and the crooked Republican Party undermined my campaign and other candidates' campaigns in favor of their chosen successor. They lied to us. If they'd just been honest, I wouldn't have run. If I'd known the Republican Party was this corrupt in Pennsylvania, I would never have run. Anyway, so I wasted $22,000 of my own money trying to do the right, moral, just thing. But anyway, undermined and kneecapped by corrupt politicians in the Republican Party. So I ran, and I didn't even get 1,000 votes. I'm curious to see how many votes I get now. Some will be simply because my name's on the Republican ballot and it's an overwhelming Republican district. I'll bet you I get more votes for judge of elections than I got for state representative. You want to bet that? Now, this is one precinct, one of 19 precincts that I competed in for the legislature. And I bet you in this one precinct, which screwed me last year and only gave me a handful of votes, I bet I get more votes for this office than I did running the entire district last year. You watch and see. What the hell is with Russell Gantz? Why don't you freaking... What is your deal, man? Russell, start your program. Good Lord. Man, people, if your YouTube doesn't start... Russell. Good Lord. Please tell Russell, send him a message. Maybe he'll get it. I'm not a judge of the legislature. I'm a judge of elections. It's the only state in the country that elects officials. In other states, the judge is appointed. Yeah, refresh. Man, why does he keep saying, where's the colonel out? Dude, I've been here for half an hour. Well, 25 minutes. Husky, why in the world would I want South African citizenship? I don't believe in dual nationality. I don't believe in dual citizenship, and I'm an American. I had an opportunity until 1999 when Schroeder changed the law that I could have become a German citizen. I never did that. Ronaldo, release your member. All right, so yeah, I bet you I get more votes. So the DA has a grand plan, except their grand plan is stolen right from my broadcast. And others' broadcasts, not just mine. Yeah, anyway. Now, the DA also slams ANC's move to expand the unity government, the GNU. So I saw earlier somebody was saying that the EFF and MK are joining the government national unity. No, they've not been extended an invitation, at least not publicly. They're not going to join. They're talking about letting Fidel Adams' National Colored Congress, used to be the Cape Colored Congress, and Action SA join. By the way, has anyone from Action SA filed a South African Human Rights Commission complaint about Herman Mashaba? I mean, they're upset about Gabe McKenzie, what he said 10, 15 years ago on social media. What about what Herman Mashaba's been saying for the past 6 months, 8 months, 10 months on social media? He said some pretty crazy stuff. Could somebody check into that? I mean, is the Action SA filed a captured South African Human Rights Commission complaint against their own party leader? I'm just curious. But the DA is slamming the ANC's effort, labeling it a recipe for chaos. Well, the 10-member government's already a recipe for chaos. It's already a mess. DA leader John Steenhuisen criticized the ANC's plan to expand the government national unity, calling it counterproductive. It's already counterproductive. The Freedom Front Plus has already rejected this nonsensical idea. We already have 10 parties, one of the largest coalitions in the world, and I think there should be rather more energy and focus spent on improving the relations amongst parties. And why do you need more parties? You already have 70% of the vote with the parties you have. Absolutely ridiculous. Just the ANC deflecting from their incompetence. Because they're incompetent. Well, the Democratic Alliance has stepped up and called for the ANC to scrap the national dialogue. But they joined the dialogue before. Why did they ever do that in the first place? Mark Boshoff with a super sticker coming through. Thank you for that, Mark. 40 Rand. The fact that others now withdrawing from the national dialogue shows that it is an illegitimate talk shop. Well, John Steenhuisen, we've known that all along. Why were you ever part of it in the first place? See, this is why you can't trust political parties. Why did they ever join it in the first place? It was never the right place to be. Why would you be in the national dialogue? It's a bullshit propaganda effort to distract from what's going on in South Africa. Again, folks, you have a constitution. If the people in power simply adhere to the Constitution and prosecute the criminals and imprison the criminals by convicting them, well, then you wouldn't need this. You would need national dialogue. You have all you need. You don't need a dialogue. Julius Malema wants to legalize. What do you think Julius Malema wants to legalize? Anybody want to guess? Anybody want to guess what Julius Malema wants to legalize? Here's a good one. Hey, Juju wants to legalize prostitution. Juju wants to legalize prostitution. Yeah. Prostitution is a job, and there are people who work in it. Really, Juju? I think Julius Malema is in favor of legalizing prostitution because he's prostituted himself. He's whored himself for politics the entire time he's been in politics. Juju the street pimp. I'm not kidding, man. True story. Julius Malema wants to legalize prostitution. Speaking of party supporters on Women's Day. I'm sorry. So Julius Malema's idea of empowering women is to legally allow them to pedal their ass on the street. I'm sorry. That's empowering women? Yes, Elsie, Captain Obvious, John Steenheisen. Speaking of party supporters, Women's Day rally in Pumalanga, he said sex workers deserve access to protection by law enforcement. Well, I don't disagree with that, including being able to open cases against rapists and other types. But that doesn't mean you legalize it. You could open a rape case if you've been raped as a prostitute. I mean, you don't need to legalize the profession to do that. The government must legalize prostitution. Prostitution is the oldest profession in the world. You may be a Christian, whether you like it or not. Prostitution is a job, and there are people who work in it. Respect these people. They too must have protection and workers' rights. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's his answer to poverty in South Africa, is to turn South Africa's women into whores. Thank you, Paul. Bianca has entered the chat. Which Bianca? I don't see. Is that a euphemism? I don't see a Bianchi here. Oh, I just dawned on me. Aha, now I got it. Got it, Paul. It just, okay, the light went on. I got it. Malema wants to legalize prostitution. Oh, juju for pimps. Juju's for pimps, man. Yes, it shows you what he thinks of women. Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there have been some travel constraints and restrictions paused. Now, the business day fraudulently calls these travel, well, they're curbs. That's accurate. I'm sorry. Travel curbs for Southern African development countries, including Zimbabwe, Malawi, and I think Zambia. U.S. Embassy says Trump's administration worked to prevent visa overstay and misuse as part of national security. But South Africa has not been punished. So when Gwede Mantashe and Fikile Mabalula and Cyril Ramaphosa and Cockprat24 and the Daily Maverick get out there and lie and tell you that the U.S. is sanctioned, and Amanda Khuz from Stellenbosch University lie and say the United States has sanctioned South Africa. Not only is it not sanctioned South Africa, but it's giving a free pass. A free pass. When they lie to you and call them punitive tariffs, which they're not, they're in response to tariffs and barriers imposed by South Africa, which still exist. When they play the victim, they're not the victims. They're the perpetrators, is the government of South Africa. Trump has not hurt you for coming to America. South Africa has not been affected by President Trump's sweeping visa restrictions on countries in SADC. Well, they aren't sweeping. I'm sorry, that's a false statement. They paused all immigrant, non-immigrant visas from Zimbabwe, except for diplomatic and official visits. They also put in place a new policy demanding that citizens of Malawi and Zambia pay a bond between $5,000 and $15,000 in order to come to the country. So he did apply this to 12 countries around Africa: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen, none of which are SADC members. So only 3 SADC members are affected. That's hardly a sweeping ban, hardly a sweeping pause. So not exactly accurate. But the story I talked about at the beginning, Hank's Old Irish Pub. Christopher Logan, who was here in America after race hustling, purportedly, allegedly race hustling, that was the decision of the court, that he lied about the so-called racial incident that never took place at Hank's Old Irish Pub, damaging their reputation, costing them business, them being attacked, being threatened by the EFF, by the South African Captured Human Rights Commission, their reputation tarnished and sullied. Thank you, Ben Haynes, for the 35 Rand super sticker. After all of that, he goes off to America. What is he doing in America? Why is Christopher Logan in this country? We don't need more race hustlers. We've got plenty of our own. We've got plenty of our own. Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Presley, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Chucky Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. What's her name? Jasmine Crockett. Yeah. Got all these race officers. We don't need another one in this country. You can have him back. We already gave you Trevor Noah back. We want to give you Charlize Theron. Will you take Christopher Logan back to South Africa, please? Somebody, please send Christopher Logan back to South Africa. Can we do a GoFundMe to raise money for his airfare? Yes. The Western Cape High Court rescinded a $1.25 million judgment against him. Judge Nathan Erasmus, who also handled the Jocelyn Smith case, granted his rescission application, setting aside the November 2024 judgment. Why? Why is that being set aside? No reason given other than at the bottom, his attorney says, we've tried to negotiate something with the owners of the pub. Well, you've destroyed their lives. There is no adequate compensation for falsely claiming someone's. Look, ask Graham Smith, forever labeled racist. When someone researches racism in South Africa 30 years from now, they're going to go through the archives, they're going to find all these stories saying Graham Smith is racist. When in fact, he's not. He's not. Never was. The people attacked him, no consequences. The false allegations against him, no consequence. It is time. Just like when people make false rape allegations, it is time to criminally punish people who make false allegations. Time to punish them. This guy gets a free ride. The court said he did it, not me. No, there has not been additional 10% added to the tariffs. I'm not sure why. Yep. Well, the National Dialogue to go ahead. They'll host 1,000 bigwigs living up the lap of luxury. Who's Christopher Logan? Hank's Old Irish Pub. Convention hosts 1,000 delegates in August despite funding concerns and stakeholder tensions. The presidency has confirmed the inaugural National Convention of a National Dialogue will proceed on August 15th and 16th, formally launching a constitutionally mandated process aimed at developing a national compact for transformation. That's not a constitutionally mandated process. Excuse me. So you're telling me that the Constitution says you must have a national dialogue? Why haven't you had one for 31 years, ANC? Convened under Section 83 of the Constitution by the head of state, the convention is framed as a structured national intervention to facilitate inclusive public liberation in the South African government future. Except it won't be inclusive. Only the elites will be there. Not average South Africans. They're not invited. You're not welcome. No room at the end. No soup for you. Yep. Utter nonsense. Well, Operation Doo-Doo Head, Operation Kaka, Operation Dudilla, the xenophobic, racist campaign by racist, xenophobe South Africans, demands meeting with the Motsoaledi after attempt to shut down the clinic. Really, I want to talk to the health minister. Operation Doo-Doo Head members who shut down Lillian Ngoyi Healthcare Center on Monday are expected to meet with Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. Don't meet with them. Arrest them. Arrest them. The group's president, Zandile Dabula, is demanding that immigration officers at healthcare facilities prevent foreign nationals from accessing free care. The problem with that is it runs contrary to your constitution, and foreign nationals are welcome to use healthcare in South Africa, especially those who pay. You have a tourist traveling or someone working on a short-term visa there, they're welcome to use health facilities. These people are dangerous and should be rounded up, charged, prosecuted, convicted, and imprisoned. They're dangerous, dangerous xenophobes. Well, the attorney who apparently banged a 13-year-old girl, pedo, repeatedly raping her, says she's not 13. That's your defense? There's Russell Grotz. You finally caught up, buddy. Attorney accused of buying a 13-year-old girl and repeatedly raping her disputes her age. A 38-year-old mother is on trial for allegedly pimping out her two young daughters and selling one of them to her co-accused, an attorney. The attorney, Karl Skuman, who's on trial, has disputed 13-year-old's age. He doesn't dispute the fact that he bought her as a slave. Also claimed that WhatsApp messages and emails had been tampered with after his phone and laptop were seized by police. Karl, the lawyer accused of buying a 13-year-old girl from her mother and raping her repeatedly, has disputed the child's age and further claims that his WhatsApp messages were tampered with. He's pled not guilty to 26 counts, including rape, human trafficking, kidnapping, sexual exploitation of children, and child abuse. Revealed more of his defense. Skuman revealed this through his advocate, Sita Kolbe. Kolbe then asked why police did not accept an identity document that said the complaint was 18 years old. Banks said this was a fake ID. It is Skuman's version that in October 2022, he notified a profile on Sex Trader. The underage girl's profile was listed as a 19-year-old woman. Screenshots of the profile handed over to the court with the plea explanation show the child posing in a bikini, her face not depicted. The Profile further listed a mobile number, which I contacted to make an appointment. The appointment was scheduled for 2 hours. He said after making contact, he was provided with a room at a guest house where he was introduced to the complainant who was using a pseudonym. I had no reason to believe that she was younger than the age listed on her profile. Skooma denies knowing the girl was a minor, supposedly made a booking. But he paid 160,000 Rand to buy her. The mothers pled not guilty to 72 counts, including 9 of sexual exploitation, children, 9 of rape, human trafficking, kidnapping, child abuse, and creating child pornography. According to the indictment, the mother would allegedly force her daughters, 11 and 13 years old at the time, to have sex with several clients a day at various guest houses around Boksburg, Heidelberg, and Springs in exchange for money. Bookings were made for plus or minus 10 clients a day. This woman sold her daughter, 11 years old, to have intercourse with up to 11 men per day. We've covered the story before, Carlos, but now it's back. This is his defense. I'm sorry. You may find it difficult to distinguish between a 17 and a 19-year-old, a 16 and 18-year-old, a 19-year-old and a 23-year-old. That's even possible. You're not going to convince me that you think a 13-year-old is a 19-year-old. This guy has a bad fate awaiting him in prison. Ooh, man. So, should Gabe McKenzie be out because of racist tweets using the K word? Well, apparently the viewers of Times Live think so. Sports Arts and Cults Minister says he never used the K word and EFF is framing him. But he did in his tweets. I remember seeing those tweets. And he didn't deny it back then. The post date back to 2013 went viral, leading to growing calls from the EFF, DA, Action SA, and ATM for his removal. McKenzie denied the claims. I never thought people would accuse me of racism. In my entire life, I never called anybody the K word. We are the victims. This is how a political campaign... Actually, he did in his tweets. I don't know what he's talking about. That denial is going to get him in trouble. He should have admitted what he said and said that it wasn't racist. Well, 65% say the use of the K word is reason to get rid of him. 22% say no, and 13% don't care. I fell into the 13% category. It's free speech. If he wants to be a douche, that's his choice. He wants to be stupid and foolish, that's his choice. My idea is simply just ignore the guy. Damage is done. He can't recover. Nope, he can't. He can't. He and Kenny Canadian are gone. The Patriotic Alliance will fall apart. So the DA has successfully destroyed one of its threats to its colored votes in the Western Cape. Tawny Pat proved not to be a threat. Gabe McKenzie's party will evaporate now once he's removed, but it won't be that simple. Dark Fiber is completing the first phase of an 800 million Rand network upgrade. This is good news for internet users in South Africa. They've begun installing new fiber services and migrating existing ones to its upgraded infrastructure. They'll soon complete their first phase. Fiber operator is a national network that provides connectivity and backhaul for mobile operators, data centers, internet service providers, and public sector institutions. Backhaul is a physical infrastructure that connects the networks to the core. The structured networks include Phase 1 on Gauteng with the migration of existing services from July of this year, continuing for 12-24 months. Phase 2 extends into the Western Cape and KZN over the following year, and Phase 3 covers the rest of the national network over 2 to 3 years. Most of the recent investment comes from their dry underground distribution cabinet network enhancement project launched back in August 2023 at a cost of 400 million Rand. It's a lot of money. Where's all that money coming from? Capital investment. Well, News 24's Lloyd Bernard says that Monty Libbok is the first go-to fly-half for the Springboks. No, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that story. Rossi's Libbok backing confirms he's still South Africa's premier playmaker. Not buying that story. He's South Africa's premier kicking mistake. Make no mistake, Saturday's Rugby Championship opener for Springboks against Wallabies at Ellis Park is massive. The first 4 outings of the year against the Barbarians, Italy twice, and Georgia would have given head coach Rossi Erasmus the opportunity to field new-look combinations, fresh faces and players in different positions, but such fearless experimentation was made possible by the quality of the opposition. That's not the case with the Wallabies. Springboks will still enter Saturday's clash as comfortable favorites, but Australia's performances in their last 2 tests against British and Irish Lions confirm they'll be a tough opposition. Yes, it's safe to assume that for the first test title defense, Erasmus wants to avoid any hiccups or banana peels. So picking Sasha is the answer? No. With the emergence of highly rated Sasha Feinberg-Ngumzulu, there are many who felt that Libbok had slipped down to third choice in the pecking order. Well, I agree. But just a week ago, Rasmus clarified that position by saying that there was presently no first-choice Springbok pivot. What about Pollard? Andre Pollard. So here's the team. Affile Fassi, Edwil van der Merwe. Edwil van der Merwe gets a start on the right wing. Jesse Creel, Andre Esterhuis in the center. Kurtley Arnsey on the left wing. Monty Libbek, fly half. Grant Williams gets a nod at scrum half. That's a good start. Sia Khaleesi's the captain once again. Peter, Steph Dutoy, Marco van Staden. Escom gets in the starting lineup. Lou Diager and Eben Etzebeth are the locks. Vilko Low, Malcolm Marks, and Oxen Chain in the front row. Off the bench, Bongian Benambi, Jan Hendrik Wessels, Asanatin Labakanye. Boy, he's made his way into that starting lineup from the Lions. Franco Mostart, Quagga Smith, Kobus Reinach, Kanan Moody, and Damien Willemse. That is a good lineup. The Australians are going to get slaughtered, I hope. Well, tributes and condemnation pour in after the IDF apparently killed an Al Jazeera journalist. Israelis killing of 5 Al Jazeera staff in Gaza promotes global outrage and calls for accountability. The outpouring of grief and condemnation has followed an Israeli assassination, they're calling it assassination, of 5 Al Jazeera staff. Now, this is coming from Al Jazeera, so we know that's not going to be objective. Including prominent correspondent Anas al-Sharif, that's him right there. The drone attack late Sunday hit a tent for journalists positioned outside the main gate of Gaza's hospital, killing 7 people. Among the dead were Al Jazeera correspondent Mohammed Kriera and camera operators Ibrahim Zahir, Mohammed Alawi, and Mohammed Nufal. The 6th journalist, Mohammed Al-Khalidi, a freelance journalist, was also reported killed in the attack. Reporters Without Borders said 3 more journalists were wounded in the same strike. Just hours earlier, Al-Sharif had posted on X about Israel's intense concentrated bombardment. So, they're saying it's a targeted assassination. Tariffs on China are likely to rise tomorrow if no deal is reached. A trade truce between the United States and China is set to expire tomorrow if the two countries do not extend the time for talks or reach a last-minute agreement that would prevent President Trump from reimposing sharply higher tariffs on Chinese imports. Well, Chi-Comp's prices are going up. And I looked online, folks. Things have gone up. Although I managed to buy myself a new solid-state drive at a 50% markdown last night, even though the tariffs are coming. That went really well. Well, the grifter-in-chief, Volodymyr Zelensky, says no land swaps. Nope, non-negotiable. Well, this guy is going to be removed eventually. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the pianist piano player, maintained his country won't surrender land after Trump suggested the deal could include swapping of territories. Zelensky said Ukraine will not give Russia any awards for what it has done. Well, I have an idea. How about Ukraine surrender Lvov back to Poland, to whom it belongs? And then Poland can surrender Silesia and Pomerania back to the Germans, to whom it belongs. Talk about land swaps. Let's get serious. But let's take a look at the map. Oh, that's not it. That's not what I'm looking for. Where'd the map go? I had a map here. Where did my map go? There it is. It got moved. Okay, here we go. Here's my map. What parts of Ukraine does Russia control as Trump suggests a land swap? Well, here you go. Look at that. Russia controlled a lot. Crimea, Luhansk, most of Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson, about half of 2/3 of that. And Ukraine has a tiny presence in Russia, northeast of Sumy. President Trump suggested ahead of a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska this week that Ukraine could cede land to Russia as part of a peace deal, an idea that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has swiftly rejected. Ukrainians will not give land to the occupier. Leaders in Britain and the European Union threw their support behind Ukraine's president. The problem with this is that the land that the Russians occupy was predominantly occupied by Russians to begin with. Not that it makes it right, might makes right, but I've told you Russia's never giving up the Crimea, and Russia will not give up the Donetsk region. Not going to happen. 6.1 magnitude earthquake has hit Turkey. Climate change! It must be climate change! Quick! Call the universities! It must be climate change! Well, look at that, man. That's a huge one. The tremor happened at 7:53 Eastern European Time, 7 miles southwest of Brigadic, Turkey. Seismologists review available data. They may revise the earthquake's reported magnitude. There you go. Anatolia gets hit with an earthquake. Australia will be the latest cowardly Western government to recognize a fake Palestinian state. In the past 2 months, France, UK, and Canada have signaled they would recognize the Palestinian state at the next UN General Assembly in September. Rewarding terrorists. That's a good idea, Australia. Cowards. Decision means Albanese joins the leaders of these other countries. Recognition would be predicated on commitments that Canberra has received from Palestinian Authority, the Fatah-controlled governing body West Bank. Except that it's not going to happen. Finland has charged ships for destroying the cables. The tanker, the Eagle S, was detained last December, and they've charged the ship's crew members with slashing undersea cables. Finnish authorities said Monday that they have charged the captain and 2 other crew members of an oil tanker on suspicion of sabotage in relation to cutting of vital undersea cables. The aging tanker, the Eagle S, was seized in late December by the Finnish authorities. They said at the time the ship might belong to Russia's so-called Shadow Fleet, a group of older tankers that covertly transport Russian crude oil around the world, raising concerns about a potential covert campaign to sabotage European infrastructure. The tanker was released in March and escorted back to international waters, but Finnish officials said at the time that 8 crew members remained under investigation. On Monday, Finland's National Prosecuting Authority said in a statement that the ship's captain, as well as the first and second officers, have been charged with aggravated criminal mischief and aggravated interference with communications. Finnish officials on Monday declined to say if they still believe the Eagle S, which is registered in the Cook Islands, has been sailing from Russia to Egypt when it was detained, might belong to Russia's Shadow Fleet. Well, it's about time that some action took place there. Wikipedia has suffered a major loss in the United Kingdom. The Wikipedia Foundation claims the UK internet rules compromise their contributors' rights to privacy and safety and could force it to reduce its UK user base. The operator of Wikipedia on August 11th lost a high court challenge to the UK's Online Safety Act, rules that were required to verify identities of its contributors. The Wikipedia Foundation said if the platform were subject to the rules, it would have drastically reduced the number of British users who could access the site. Hailed by the UK government's world's first online safety law, it's more like it's freedom of expression suppression. The OSA became law in October 2023, but duties related to the regulation of so-called illegal content took effect in March of this year. Under the rules, sites that allow the user interaction, including forums, must have completed an illegal harm risk assessment submitted to the UK. Although Judge Jeremy Johnson dismissed the case, he said the Wikipedia Foundation could bring a further challenge if the regulator concludes that Wikipedia is a Category 1 service. Well, I'm a contributor to Wikipedia, and it's none of the British government's frickin' business who I am or what I say, so they can piss off. I'm not subject to your jurisdiction. That information is on servers located in America, and you can fuck off, UK. Frickin' socialist commies. Colombia's presidential hopeful dies 2 months after campaign event shooting. Senator Miguel Uribe, who warned Colombia was reverting to a bloody past, was shot in the head amid the surge in violence. Miguel Uribe, a senator who cautioned that Colombia was backsliding, died Monday from wounds sustained when he was shot 2 months earlier. His grandson of former president was shot twice in the head by a teenage gunman who fired a 9mm. He underwent several operations, but the hospital said his condition had worsened over the weekend. He will always be the love of my life, his wife Claudia wrote on Instagram. The death of Uribe, the grandson of Julio Cesar Torbe, who served as president from 1978 to 82, leaves Colombia's conservative movement reeling. Oh, that's the shooting. I'm not going to show that. President Trump has activated the National Guard and federalized the police force in Washington. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as President of the United States. He invokes Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act of 1973, which puts control of the Metropolitan Police Department under the President for 48 hours. The National Guard troops would not have the authority to arrest people, though they can detain people until law enforcement arrives. The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bow Wow Bowser, is a good person who was tried, but she has been given many chances, and the crime numbers get worse. Muriel Bowser is not a good person. She's an evil troll who undermined the Trump administration and allowed citizens to be assaulted on the streets of D.C. through her inaction. She also is a horrible human being and not a good person. Trump can say she's good, but that's just covering. Going to deploy the National Guard, and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, now is in charge of the D.C. Metropolitan Police. You want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe in going to a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. You don't have that now. Administration deploying hundreds of federal agents throughout the district, including more than 100 from the FBI as part of its crackdown. Good. Long overdue. Long overdue. Well, the U.S. government is getting money from NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices, AMD. NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices are expected to pay the United States 15% of the money they take in from selling artificial intelligence chips in China. Wow, that's crazy. So Trump is coming up with novel ways to raise money for the federal fiscus. So when they sell artificial intelligence chips to the Chi-Coms, which the government is allowing to happen, which I think is a bad move, we give 15% of the revenue back to the Treasury. So $100 chip, $15 to Treasury. Buy both NVIDIA and AMD, the two largest artificial intelligence chip manufacturers. The judge has rejected the government bid to unseal the material related to Jeffrey Epstein. So all this navel-gazing and screaming about Donald Trump and the loss of my viewer, Jesse in Arizona, good riddance, buddy. You were condescending and arrogant, unnecessarily being rude to me. These people just disappear because I didn't want to talk about this nonsense, their obsession with pedophilia. Well, judge has said no. Another judge. Numerous victims of Epstein and co-conspirators said they wanted the material released. A federal judge denied the Trump administration request to make material related to late sex offender public. Grand jury material is typically kept secret, and the government filings do not meet an exception laid out in the previous rulings. Granting the government's motion would bloat the special circumstances doctrine, which to date has warranted disclosure in only a tiny number of cases, all involving unique testimony by first-hand witnesses of events of obvious public historical moment. President Trump in July asked the Department of Justice to release the grand jury testimony. So, as I said, it's grand jury testimony. It ain't going to be released, and it's nobody's damn business. You have to protect the sanctity of a grand jury, otherwise you can't do proper investigations. Ford Motor Corporation has an answer for cheap Chinese electric vehicles with its own $30,000 electric pickup. That is dirt cheap. It's a $2 billion investment in Louisville, Kentucky plant to support efficient manufacturing. The EV strategy is 3 years and billions of dollars in making. Ford says new EVs will be designed with fewer parts, lighter materials, and a manufacturing process overhaul for efficiency. Ford's EV business lost $5 billion last year, with executives predicting a bigger loss this year. I can't tell you with 100% certainty that this will all go right, said Jim Farley, the CEO. EV sales have stalled in the U.S., yes, because they're crap. Ford says new EVs will be made with 20% fewer parts. A wiring harness used in the new pickup, for instance, will be 4,000 feet shorter and 10 kilograms lighter than the one used in the company's first electric vehicles. They'll be built differently as well. Large single-piece aluminum unit castings replace dozens of smaller parts instead of one long factory conveyor. 3 parallel separate lines will run concurrently and then come together. Workstations will be more ergonomic. Ford says the process will be 15% faster, even with additional insourcing and quality improvements. Factory will initially employ 2,200 workers, 600 fewer than are working there now. Pickup will be powered by batteries made with lithium iron phosphate, which are about 35% cheaper than the nickel cobalt-based alternatives. The battery pack will serve as the vehicle's floor, a setup that saves space and makes for a quieter ride. The company did not disclose the vehicle's anticipated driving range. Interesting. Well, no more cheap EVs. There you have it, folks. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it. Tesla's better than Ford. Tesla's crap. It's also for rich white people, too. Can't afford it. $70,000 for a crappy little sedan that everyone wants a key. Still leak oil. Electric vehicles still leak oil. What is this saying? Show me where any Bantu tribe of the Western Cape borders only encountered them by Fish River. Well, that's not entirely accurate. There were Xhosa who were doing foraging parties and recon beyond the Great Fish River long before there was a major encounter. But yeah, generally speaking, your statement's accurate. That's not a banned offense. Historical land issue is much simpler than Europe. The old Cape Colony belonged to Khoisan and Afrikaners, the east coast of Bantu tribes. Air Force General Dave Anderson takes over command of AFRICOM on Friday. At President Trump, I'm wishing him all success. I don't know who that is. Dagvin Anderson, never heard of him. Mad Max has got a link here, a 35 rand super chat. Let's see what that's about. God bless it. What's going on here? There we go. Wow, South Africa now castigated as a mafia state. Well, that's from a Northwest University professor, Andre Devonaga. Between April of 2019 and March 2024, 6,056 extortion cases reported, 2,389 arrests, only 178 convictions. Wow. A mafia state. Well, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Yep. John von Riebeck caused the earthquake. They shouldn't have to give up Crimea or Donetsk. Do people know why this war started? If Luhansk and Donetsk stay Russian, Trump can kiss the middle deal goodbye. Whatever. Who needs the minerals? They can keep them. They're going to have to sell them to somebody. Would love Schlesien back. My dad was born there. Whereabouts, Freya, in Schlesien? I have ties to Neisse. Yep. But whereabouts in Schlesien? That's Oberschlesien. Tja, das wird fabelhaft. Das Problem ist, dass heute es gibt über 800.000, ein paar Millionen Polner, die in diese Gebiete wohnen. Ja, Ostpreußen, Schlesien, Pommern. Schon lange weg. Ja, leider. Gestohlen, geklaut von Stalin, Roosevelt und Churchill. Those refugees are not coming to America. Not while Trump's president. Those Gaza refugees, not going to happen. We're kicking people like that out now. Yes, Matthew, Gayton caused problems for Ronaldo a couple years back, and Ronaldo made videos about it. Yep. Rossi said RG Stamen will come in if Australia goes for a 6-2 split. I didn't see that, Geese. Thanks for sharing that. Well, RG Stamen's a good choice. Bring him in a lock. Yep. Pollard is better. Pollard is much better than Monty. Look, Monty is fantastic as a playmaker, but he's terrible at kicking. He's absolutely terrible. He has no confidence, and he flubs it all the time. But as a playmaker, the guy's brilliant. He really distributes the ball well. Pollard is much better kicker, and he's a decent playmaker, and he's a great tackler. Monty is an okay tackler. Sasha Feinberg Umzulu is not quite a perfect kicker, but he's much better than Libok. Not as good as Pollard, but the rest of his game is incredible. Monty is, Sasha is just incredible, and he can play so many positions. Connect the dots. They can't get to Rob, so remove one, then he's trying to promote politics. Huh? What are you talking about, Alan? NCC is useless. They don't attend sittings and vote in absence for 2% VAT increase. Yep. Well, Monty went to the Stormers, and his first season he was brilliant, but that was just the first season. Other than that, he hasn't been great. Daniel Best stepped away for a while. Not sure if you covered it, but did you hear about the CEO trying to bribe journalist Peter Myberg? Yeah, that's old news. We covered that already. Okay. Action sold to Whites as well, saying that we think what we think, which is wrong about Herman, Fikili, and Julius. Who insulted? What are you talking about, Rex? I missed something here. Talking about Herman Mashaba? And Russell finally caught up with us 44 minutes in, or 13 minutes. Illegal Zimbabwean granny died outside a clinic thanks to Operation Dudila. Yeah, they're criminals. They need to be arrested. They need to be arrested. They're criminals. Yep. Yeah, and why are they wearing camouflage? Because they're stolen valor cowards. That's what they are. Sent you a mail on what link about business. Okay, Al Murray, let me go look and see that. Okay, it would be helpful if you tell me when you guys send me emails. I don't see it. I don't see it. Nope, don't see it. Doesn't mean you didn't send it. I don't see it. Roger Smith's the best buck we have. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's the best. I think that Grant Williams is brilliant as a scrum half. And I think Kirtley Arnsay is amazing on the wing. But Cheslin Colby is the best Springbok we have. Hands down. Hands down. Ford driven by entitled idiots on the road, even worse off-road, says Steve. Okay. Und viele Russian dort jetzt, Chris, but Germans still tend gardens there on weekends. Pretty insane. Where? In Schlesien? Pommern? Ostpreußen? Ian says he can't kick for crap. Yep, I think you're right about that. Some official in South Africa sold birth certificates to foreigners. Yep, we know about that. That's old news too. Reported on that previously. And that's what happened. That's why Trump in his first term froze immigration from several countries, 6 countries, including countries in Africa. And then Nancy Pelosi fraudulently misused her State Department, her House of Representatives official account to go up and put out emails costing the U.S. taxpayer money using that service, and then gave a speech saying Trump was a racist because he banned 350 million people of color from coming to America. Not one thing about what she said was true. It's all lies. It's all lies. These were things that were actually supposed to be taken by Obama. Trump had the courage to do it. And it had nothing to do with people visiting America or coming here for work or on holiday or visiting family. It had everything to do with people who are trying to immigrate here. Because I exposed this when I worked in government. Comoros was selling passports to Iranian terrorists, sanctioned Iranian leaders who couldn't come to America or to the UK or to Europe. They would go to Comoros. They would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. They would get issued a Comoran passport, oftentimes in a pseudonym, and they had no biometric data in the passport. And so we couldn't prove their provenance, where they came from. We discovered this, and that's the reason why. They weren't the only country doing it. Freistadt has never had a birth certificate. The village he was in was born was changed 5 times. Wow. Okay, I don't know Freistadt in Schlesien. Let me see if I can find it. Freistadt in Schlesien, see what that looks like. Freistadt, Schlesien. Okay. Well, this is saying it's in Moravia. Oh, it's in Schlesien too. Okay. Get some pictures here. Freistadt district. In German, it's Bezirk Freistadt. In Czech, Poliki Okres. Freistadt, Polish. Okay. Was a political district in the Czech Republic in Austrian Silesia. So that was in Moravia. Austria-Hungary existing between 1868 and 1920. Okay. Revolution of 1848 led to various social, legal, administrative changes. 1880 had a population of 35,000, of which only 2,000 were German, 6%. 69% were Polish. In 1910, it was still 6.7%, just 5,000 German speakers. Huh. So here's what it looks like on the screen here. So that's in 1890, 1900, 1910, 19... Look at this. German language is the third one from the right, or the third one from the left. Not many German speakers. So, oops, that didn't come out very well. That didn't come out very well either. Those are tiny. Okay, I hate that when it happens. Let's go back to, let's see this. There you go. That's a picture of the town square. There you go. Very typical German. Here's a medieval picture of it. 133 euros if you want to buy that picture. Okay, anyway, so there you go. Freistadt. Okay. Yeah, that's not near nice. Okay. Oh, here you go. That's the one I want to show. There you go. Look at that. Typical German medieval. Got a streetcar and a dirt road running through there. Ah, the Europe that was, ruined by the Nazis and the communists. Ford, you guys going on about for old maps? You can find a village called Alt-Schau. I've seen that Alt-Schau, okay. Rakes claims to have dual nationality. Ford first on the rubbish dump. Most of the boxer awesome players are few, in my humble opinion, they're better off being bench warmers. Mm-hmm. Okay. Goodbye, Mark. Where you going, man? No, I never made a song about Biden's auto pen. Totally agree. Cheslin is brilliant, but Quagga is my blue-eyed boy. Oh, 48 likes. Yeah, you're behind, Vera. It's 558 likes. I agree. Grant was my first choice. Scrummy, Chris, I would play Pollard until Sasha becomes more consistent. Charles, we're in agreement on that one. I agree. I would play Pollard until Sasha becomes more. I would play Pollard with an idea that in 27, Sasha will be the starter and Pollard would be the backup. That would be my plan. Yeah, but Monty Libick doesn't enter my plans there. I'd much rather go for someone younger. He's just not getting it done in my book. Yeah. Great playmaker, but I think we can put him at fullback instead. Try him at fullback and see how he does. Updates for explosion U.S. steel plant. Okay, sure. I didn't hear about that. Steel plant explode. Is it Pittsburgh? People are trapped under the rubble. That's here in PA. Explosion at U.S. steel coking plant. Pennsylvania leaves people trapped under rubble. My goodness. Okay, let's try this. Wow. Whoa, there it is. That was wicked. Let's go back. A lot of pressure must have been building, and then watch the explosion right in the center. Here it comes. Oh, damn. Well, that's not good. There's no audio for that, by the way. Explosion Monday at U.S. steel coking plant near Pittsburgh has left people trapped under the rubble. There's no confirmed fatalities as of yet. The Clairton Coke Works. Allegheny County Emergency Services said a fire at the plant started at 10:51 this morning. It was and that has transported 5 people. Agency did not provide any more details. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says administration is in touch with local officials. The scene is still active. Folks nearby should follow the direction of authorities. Let's go see if I can't find something on Twitter about this. Where's this at? This is at Clairton. See if I can't find something out real quick. Oh, wow. Yeah. Thunderous explosions. Wow. So people are already stealing content. This is from Jose Morales. This is Hispanic. This is clearly not. He's already taken content. Probably do a copyright claim if I play this for long. But there, look at that. That's not good. That's not good. Oof, man. That's some bad mojo. Bad mojo. Here's a picture of the blow of it when it exploded. We saw that earlier. El Marie, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. So that's not good. Let's see what else is reported on this. Thunderous blast rocked the largest coke production plant in North America, triggering a massive level 3 mass casualty incident. Emergency crews rushed the scene where multiple workers reportedly trapped under rubble. Rescue workers conducted urgent search amid a raging fire. Ongoing developing emergency authorities confirmed several workers transported to hospital. No official word yet on casualties. Oof, man, that's crazy. Largest coking operation in North America. Oof, that's not good. Thoughts and prayers, folks. BMW doesn't bring more worries. Brilliant car brand. Stop trashing them. Why is that not coming out? Yeah, see that guy put his... That's crazy. So that guy simply copied someone else's Twitter account and then put his label on top of it to claim copyright. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They're all the same. No additional stuff here. It's all the same pictures. That's crazy. Oh, and here is Rama posed at the launch of the Rand water purification plant. Let's watch this. This is the Rand water purification plant launch.
No, not babes or months.
I've applied. I've made an application for a job yet.
No, not.
I have no idea what that lady's wearing. That's bizarre. And he says that the dialogue will continue. That's what Ramaphosa had to say.
Organizations have already gone out to 750 organizations. And many of those organizations have already responded that they are coming, they are willing and committed. Prior to that meeting, there had been a meeting of civil society where there were 100 representatives and who felt that they want to go ahead with the dialogue. So what was pleasing for me was that the foundations who felt that they are not so, foundations have already gone out.
Oh, jeez. So instead of fixing South Africa, this is what they're doing. Stupid stuff. Koketso Redzani. Cyril Ramaphosa is widely recognized and appreciated for his role in facilitating peace process around the world. Koketso says, by whom? By whom is right, Koketso? Oh, this guy gets it right all the time. So this is an old one. Let's see this. Blaming white people for slavery.
White people didn't invent slavery. In fact, they were the first to end it. Yet somehow saying this is controversial.
Yep.
Watch what happens when someone says it out loud.
The reason there is no slavery in the world today, I mean, there's a lot of slavery in the world today, but in the parts of the world where there's no slavery, is because the British Empire ended it. That's why there is no slavery. That is...
So,
well,
that's going to prompt
look, the fact that you are uneducated about history doesn't mean it's funny. So let me educate you now. Let me educate you now. Let me educate you now. I know that the woke narrative and the anti-Western narrative on slavery... Oh, you're not practicing free speech very well, are you? You're not practicing free speech very well, are you? The moment I say something you don't like, you're not practicing free speech very well, are you, sir?
Let's be clear. Slavery is evil, but it's an ancient human evil.
Yep.
Practiced by everyone, to everyone.
Yep.
4 years ago, I went to Ghana. I stood in a slave dungeon where people who looked like me sold people who looked like me to white people. But long before Europeans began the transatlantic slave trade, there was a trans-Saharan slave trade. For over 1,000 years, brown Arab slavers sold millions of black Africans across the Sahara.
And
then came the
castrated them.
Barbary slave trade. In North Africa, Arab and African raiders captured and sold over 1 million white Christian Europeans.
Yep.
China, Korea, Japan, India.
And I've only been saying this for 5 years. And actually, I used to do training for Berlitz. And one of the classes, and I always put that in the thing, I talk about slave trade because it's historically accurate. I'm a historian. I talked about slave trade in Africa and who was responsible for it. And I didn't diminish the impact of the transatlantic slave trade. But I suddenly wasn't invited back to be a professor after running that course twice a year for 4 years. Suddenly, that lucrative job disappeared. I was making... about, let's see, 72,000 Rand per week that I did that. And that just disappeared. And I know why. Because some woke little shithead cried that I said something and hurt their feelings. And they're political cowards. So instead of saying this is history, it's factual, they didn't invite me back to instruct anymore. Cost me 150,000 Rand per year in income. Yep, he's right. Spot on. Spot on. The world is so broken. People can't handle the truth. That's the bottom line. He's brilliant. He came on social media recently. I don't know his name. He does a lot of stuff, and then Elon loves him. He retweets him. But when I said the same thing, just as articulately, just as impassioned, with the same stats, over and over for 5 years, Elon Musk didn't give a flying flip about what I have to say because I don't match the right skin color to push his narrative, which is the right narrative. But it's, whatever. English sold the Irish into slavery into Barbados and the Caribbean, and then they sold their Irish slave girls and forced them to be bred by African slaves, creating mixed race slaves. Yep, I know the whole story. Yep. Peter Steph Dutoy, the best Bach by far. He's good, he's great, but Cheslin's the best, pound for pound. Cheslin hits like a frickin' brick wall for his tiny size. Left will never accept the truth. They just need to justify their occupation. Don't have the honesty and decency to admit the facts. You're right, Philip. Well, the woke is too lazy to find it, Edward, because they don't want. You see how people booed and hissed him when he simply stated the fact. Slavery didn't end because of the British Empire. The British Empire began the end of slavery. The first country to outlaw slavery was Haiti after they murdered 60,000 Frenchmen. That includes the military, not just the women that were raped and beheaded and disemboweled and all the stuff that they did to the French who lived on Haiti. But they were the first country to ban slavery. Then the Brits also banned the slave trade. The Americans did so the next year. Yep. Yeah, Jacques, the truth is only credible if it's coming from a dark person, not a white person, which in itself is a racist position. Yep. 5.7 liter V8. Now that's an engine, Mark Kennedy. That's an engine. All right, it's time for me to wrap up, folks. I've got to get a shower and then go see these people in the medical clinic try to get treatment. When we look into what's happening in the world, one can just ask, how did it become so terrible? Because adults took their eye off the ball and they let this woke nonsense start. It began in the 1960s as a rebellion against the anti-civil rights movement and against Vietnam. And this problem manifested in the 1960s and is metastasized to the problem we have today. The people or educators in our universities for the past 20 years have been those scumbags who were troublemakers in the 1960s. They've been teaching the wrong things and kids have been inculcated. People feel guilty for being white. Well, if you feel guilty for being white, then you're a racist. What is your problem with being white? Anyway, yeah, I blame the hippies. Now, the hippies are actually pretty cool. Then you were called racist, Chris. Blows my mind what's good for the goose. Exactly. Simply stating historical fact. Not even with any emotion. It was dispassionate. I've told the whole slave history. I told the history of Africans raiding their neighbors for slaves, but it wasn't the sort of slavery we see in the Indies, the West Indies. And I talked about that slavery that went on for centuries. Then the Arabs became involved, and they shipped millions of blacks to the Middle East and to North Africa. And you notice there's not a large black population in those countries. Why is that? Because when they got there, they cut their testicles off so they couldn't reproduce. Yep. True story. Anyway, and then the transatlantic slave trade started. They were late to the game and only in a short period of time. But a lot of people were affected by it. 12 million people probably shipped as slaves. Anyway. Today, 72 in U.S. evacuated Nam. Okay, thank you for that. Truth make comeback. The more we speak, the more these little fairy voices will get drowned out. Native Americans did have slaves. That's correct. That's correct. All right, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. We haven't even hit 600 likes. What's up with that? Mondays used to be my big day, but it's tailing off. People are losing interest. But still, this is a lot better than we were a year ago. A year ago, 3,000 on a live stream, I'd be like over the moon. And 542 people live, I'd be over the moon. Still, we want 10,000 live stream viewers, and we want 50,000 live stream. Just publish a book on the slavery. Yeah, I need a publisher for that. Hey, George, you guys take care. All right, catch you later. I got to run.